But Mark, let's move into our next topic. And if you're watching the full podcast on YouTube or coming to us from yesterday's YouTube episode, there was the logo because dumbass Ricky over here forgot to delete the Rick and Johnny podcast that is already uploaded from the camera. So that's why it was logo into us. But we are going from the Browns now, and we're talking about the Jets yet again. And for people who are not on podcast services around the world or might not have listened to yesterday's segment, Mark, before we get into the Jets and possibly hiring Peyton Manning, I want it out there one more time so that Jet fans can hear. You wanted to change something that you had said last week.
I am off the Jets as a playoff team bandwagon as soon as you fired your coach and let Adam Gase take over.
Fired the GM.
Or GM and allow Adam Gase to take over. That makes me go, I don't know if I trust these decisions being made anymore.
The thing that is so humorous about it, and of course I watch High Noon every day after work, so of course this is where I get it from, but it was Bomani Jones who was basically like, yeah, how about that sly shit of basically you hire a guy to be the coach and then that guy gets you fired.
Yeah.
It's basically like some Game of Thrones shit going on in here. Like, hey, I'm going to name you Hand of the King. Oh, wait, that guy is going to get me killed and then going to take my place as king.
Politics, man. You know, you got some people who are bad at it. Cleveland last year was a terrible situation with politics not working, and everyone's like, we know who's leaking everything. Yeah. It's really obvious it's your coach. And then you have a situation like this where Adam Gase is like, no, I totally didn't have any issues with the GM. He just happened to get fired, and I hated him.
He just happened to get fired, and I hated him. But the news is that the Jets might hire Peyton Manning as their new GM. So this one doesn't need as much kind of setup as our last
Although the one thing I'll say,
segment.
where is this coming from? Because I have not really seen much about it. And I just wasn't sure if it was like friend of Peyton Manning saying he might do it or just people are connecting dots. Because that was the thing with like the Daniel Jones draft pick with the Giants. It was just people connecting dots saying this guy has an association with a Manning.
Well, I wonder if, and I will look it up, but I know the one thing that I've heard on ESPN numerous times is the connection between Peyton Manning and Adam Gase because they get along. Because Peyton Manning would be a guy Adam Gase could get along with.
And they overlapped in Denver, which is interesting.
What do you think, though, with it? Do you think the Jets should hire Peyton Manning as their new GM?
I'd rather have Peyton Manning as my head coach, I think. I mean, the man's a football genius. So I'm going to stash him away in a room and let him take care of the business end of things. He's not a... I mean, I know that he owns some Papa John's franchises, but those are things where he's not really doing anything.
And he's telling you about, what is it,
Nationwide.
Is it Nationwide
on your side?
With Brad Paisley?
Yeah.
Singing all them jingles and jangles?
Like, the man is just kind of a walking meme, and that's why he is in all these commercials. Not the kind of walking meme that his brother is. He's actually a nice one, I would say. If anyone had seen the pictures of Eli Manning and Daniel Jones standing next to each other making basically the exact same face, you'll know about the kind of meme that Eli Manning is compared to his brother. But to me, I don't doubt that Peyton Manning is a smart businessman. Why don't I doubt that? I don't know. Maybe it's just his voice. He sounds like he could probably talk to me about stocks and bonds. But I think he's such a genius football mind that I don't want him being bogged down with all the business side of things. I would rather have him telling my young quarterback how to become better, because I trust Peyton Manning a lot more than Adam Gase to turn Sam Darnold into a really, really good quarterback.
So from what I'm seeing here, this is from SNY, the New York media, basically saying, so this article says, rumors are flying within league circles that the Jets could make a run at Peyton Manning to fill the vacant GM role. Reports Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, who adds that Manning has periodically been connected to open front office positions throughout the NFL. There's also reports that, like, reports that, Peyton's not interested in it. So, like, there's no for sure that he has said no to it.
He just retired a few years ago. Just enjoy retirement, Peyton.
Here's the thing I don't like with this is the fact that every single, and this to me is lazy commentating, lazy reporting, is the first thing I've heard numerous people say on different medias is, oh, you want to bring in Peyton Manning? Well, you see what John Elway's doing in Denver?
Although I do think there's fairness to that of just saying purely trusting somebody because they were a successful player does not mean they will be a good GM.
Well, there's that. That I agree. Like, if that's your point, cool. But, like, most of it has been, like, have you seen this quarter? Like, just because John Elway has failed, and I'm going to use air quotes because I've also seen the point of, like, when
he's got a Super Bowl ring with him as a GM.
It's like, well, he's got a Super Bowl ring, so he can't be doing that bad.
But really, that was an amazing defense in Peyton Manning's
basically. And bringing in what was that the Kubiak year?
Yep.
Bringing in Kubiak to be a head coach was just genius from that front because it was the thing that put him over. The thing that I look at is Peyton Manning is not John Elway. So we don't know if Peyton Manning would be successful in this role or not successful in this role. The one thing I want from my GM, though, is the ability to see young talent and basically be able to hit in the draft. That's what I want from my GM. That's the main thing I want.
Sure, but you also, just hire good scouts and you'll be all right.
Yeah, but, like, there's a GM part of that, like, being in those rooms. Yes, you delegate your scouts to do the work, but at the end of the day, it falls on you to make that decision. Because every part of the game, like, every part of the GM game, I don't think Peyton Manning would have a bad time with. Like, managing free agents, like, I don't know how Peyton would be one-on-one with the negotiation of actual dollars, but I feel like Peyton Manning could be a guy that a player walks into the room to have a free agent meeting and Peyton makes them feel like, hey, this guy gets me. Like, he's very likable as a person.
He's likable as a person, but I don't know necessarily that all players out there are going to see Peyton Manning and go, yeah, this guy gets me. Well, Peyton Manning's a very unique
I feel like through the like, he's a guy that could talk his way into being into the conversation with a free agent. Like, I don't expect a player to go, man, I want to play for Peyton Manning's team. There might be some. But I see Peyton more as, like, if he gets that meeting with a free agent, I feel confident that he could get close to securing a deal with a free agent because he knows how a player thinks, his personality. Like, he's a guy that's not very brash. And he's a likable guy. Like, there's not many people that I've seen are like, fuck Peyton Manning, man.
Right. Well, I mean, he did beat the Bears in the Super Bowl, so fuck Peyton Manning.
Man.
Right there. But, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I also am like, yeah, but Peyton Manning didn't really, besides the one time, he didn't really get to do free agency. And when he did free agency, it was, this is your chance to pay anything he wants for a future Hall of Fame quarterback who's almost guaranteed to get you a Super Bowl. Like, it's a little bit of a different scenario, I think, to where I don't know if it's just...
You're talking about John Elway?
No, I'm talking about Peyton Manning. If he was your GM... Well, I said when he was a free agent, it was a chance to get a future Hall of Famer who's going to get you a Super Bowl. And did.
Ironically, the guy that people were comparing it to was the GM he signed with.
Exactly. So I just don't know if that necessarily is going to work perfectly just because he was a player. To where, quite a few of these GMs, you never hear players talk about, oh, I really want to go play for Gettleman, because nobody does. But, people don't talk about, oh, I really want to play for Ryan Pace. He's such a great GM. No, it's, I want to play for Matt Nagy. He does some weird-ass shit, and I'm one of these players who I think is going to excel on that team. Or it's, I want to play for Bill Belichick because he's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
They talk about the coach.
And the other reason why, and I'm looking at...
And I get that Bill Belichick is coach and GM.
I'm looking at an article here on Pro Football Talk of basically Peyton Manning reportedly isn't interested in the job. And that's another part of it. If I'm Peyton, do I want to be the GM of the Jets? Because... I'm going to say the same thing we said when Mark Sanchez came to town, when any big free agent went to the Jets, of like, this is a media circus. The second this team continues to lose and is not winning, the fingers are going to point at you. And like I said, with Peyton being such a likable guy in football circles, the number one way to get, I'm not talking about like actual like players and other owners and GMs mad at you. I'm talking about more of like the fan side, is basically if he goes to New York as the GM and doesn't turn around and they continue to lose, fans are going to, there will be fans.
And there'll be high expectations to begin with.
Peyton Manning. Well, high expectations because first it's New York, second it's Peyton Manning.
Yeah, if any team gets Peyton Manning to be anything involved, Peyton Manning's the fucking water boy. They're going to be like, oh my God, we're winning a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning's part of the team.
And from what I've heard is, I feel like this was Mike Florio that I heard this from, was basically the one thing that people say is that with you, when you said you could see him more as a coach, people are saying that's not the position he would want, because the number one thing that would eat at Peyton Manning is that he wouldn't have a quarterback like Peyton Manning. Only because of the type of preparer and like just study guy that Peyton was.
But I feel like Peyton would be able to kind of bring a little bit of that out in a guy, or Peyton would be like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do?
You're gone.
Bench.
I will find a guy that does what I'm able to do. The interesting thing is, did you hear what Reggie Wayne said today?
No.
Reggie Wayne said that Peyton Manning could be a Jerry Jones type of NFL owner. Do you think that's more of a role that fits Peyton Manning? Not the GM role, an owning role for a team.
I was going to say, I don't really understand what he means by that. Does he mean bad? Because Jerry Jones typically is being associated with not good things nowadays.
The exact quote, and this was, so let's see here. The comments. So Peyton Manning is GM only if he's also the team owner. That's the conclusion Reggie Wayne comes to, saying on NFL Total Access that his former Colts teammate would be a modern Jerry Jones. The comments come in response to reports that the Jets have courted Manning as their GM. Here's exactly what he said. Absolutely not, Wayne said about Manning's desire to take the job. You think Peyton Manning would give an owner an opportunity to fire him or have a coach backstab him and throw shade? Peyton would not allow that. What I do see him doing is being an owner somewhere down the line. He added, I think he would be the new modern day Jerry Jones. I think he'd be the owner / GM.
I know that Peyton is rich, but is he that rich to be an owner?
That's a question people have come up with.
I don't think he is.
He would probably need a group like what Jordan had when Jordan bought the Hornets.
Yeah, and just ask Jordan if that works out that well for you.
However, he would have to be then like, and that's the thing people bring up and like Reggie Wayne talks to is if there's a group that Manning joins, Manning's going to be the guy that's like, I want to be the majority owner. Like, I want 51%.
Yeah.
And will he get that 51%?
To which those people will be like, all right, you have the money for it?
Thing I found out today that apparently Al Davis, early, like, until, like, what, I think it was the 90s or something, wasn't even the majority owner of the Raiders. He just strong-armed everyone in that ownership group to take control of the Raiders.
If you can make it happen, if you got the personality, can boss people around.
Do you think that we'll ever see Peyton Manning as an owner?
No, I don't think he's rich. I don't think he's got the money. I mean, I don't remember the exact deal for the Panthers when that one happened, but that was an insane amount of money. I know that Peyton's rich, but he's got to sell a few businesses, I think, before he's able to kind of
the Panthers
buy himself a team.
sold for $2.2 billion.
Yeah, I don't think Peyton's got $2.2 billion hanging around in the bank. I mean, I know that's not how it works, but still. I don't see it coming. I don't. If I'm Peyton Manning, I don't really want anything to do with it. I had an amazing career. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm good. I'm going to enjoy retirement. Peyton's doing what Peyton wants to do any and every single day.
I mean, is it something to where if Peyton could own a team, and I feel like the only team for me, and I don't know Peyton, I don't know anyone in the circle, I don't know Archie or Eli or anything, but the only thing that comes to my mind is the only two teams I could see Peyton Manning basically owning. Number one is the Colts, which is not going to happen because Jim Irsay. Number two is the Titans. Those are the only two teams that I could see.
Why the Titans?
Because
of the Oilers connection?
Well, not the Oilers, but he's a Tennessee, played at Tennessee, has the Tennessee connections. So that's the only reason I could see the Titans. But then
you're going to own a division rival of the team you played for.
See, I don't think that matters. Like, as an owner, I don't think that matters. Like,
when you're a player, I think it matters.
I mean...
And he's still going to be a player at heart.
Mm-hmm. Maybe to me, it doesn't matter. Like, me personally, because, like, I was the type of person that... So, in high school, I was in band. Mm-hmm. And we had this one high school that was, like, not even a half a mile away. We fucking hated their guts. Like, it was a rivalry, their school and our school. And it's like, you get out, you go to college, and... It's like you meet some people from there. It's like, oh, I fucking hate that high school. Oh, I fucking hate you. And then after your second year, you're like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why fucking hate someone because of what they went to high school?
Yeah, that's a different situation.
When you're in the trenches, basically Peyton Manning. It's also the same thing of, well, if you were going to be a Colt for life, be a Colt for life. Don't go to the Broncos.
Well, they cut him, so
I know that
they let him go.
But it's like, you know what, like. After you're out of playing a little while, I feel like that feeling kind of, for some people, dies away a little bit to where it's like you don't have that same connection as when you were wearing those colors.
I mean, the times we see it is when they're mad. We see Brett Favre go play for the Vikings because he wants to beat the Packers. You know, things like that.
I mean, you think Peyton Manning
he's not mad.
You don't think he's a little upset that they cut him at the time?
Nope. I don't, because they had a chance to get Andrew Luck. He's too logical of a person to say, you guys shouldn't have gotten Andrew Luck.
That's the same thing, though, that players are very competitive, and it doesn't matter who's, but it goes to the Joe Flacco thing that people
said it themselves. They already said that it was the thing to do, and they should start him.
It goes to the Joe Flacco thing that people are blowing out of proportion, is when he came out and said it's basically not his job to mentor Drew Lock.
We are on the same page.
A player's not going to go, well, here you go, take my job.
But he literally did say that you guys are in this opportunity. You should take him. If you pick him at number 1 overall, you should start him. Just let me go somewhere else.
I'm just saying, I could totally see Peyton Manning going to the Titans and not even worrying that he was a Colt. Because I don't think the feeling is as strong as it was because he went to the Broncos and played. So it's like, hey, I went somewhere else and played. But also, number 2, there's that feeling of, hey, you know what? If I can own this team and make this team good, man, if I could make this team into the top of the division and kind of look like, hey, Indiana, hey, Jim, right there, buddy. Right there. I mean, I could see it. I don't know if Peyton feels that.
I disagree completely.
But I don't know who Peyton is. But
I can tell you, he's not that.
But I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Just that I disagree entirely.
Okay. Jets, should they hire him if he's interested?
Nope.
Okay. This is where you guys come in. I'm on the same boat. It's not a Jets. This is the bad part of the question. It's not should the Jets hire him. It's should Peyton take the job. I think Peyton.
Both answers are no.
I think Peyton should just take his name out and say, reportedly not interested. No, on the record, I am not interested, and put the kibosh on this. But you guys let us know what you guys are thinking down below. Peyton Manning, could he be the GM? Will he not be the GM? Should he be the GM? Let us know what you guys think in that comment section.